Welcome to the Drew Yari Show.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Drew Yari Show. If you're already hearing this, it's Friday. I'm recording on Thursday in a very inclement weather here in San Antonio. It is... Let me just check real quick. Hold on. It's 30 degrees. It's 30 degrees, and it's raining, so that doesn't help. I was just telling Julian Cannon, because I just did a show, and look for that to drop, by the way. And I just telling him, about how cold it is in San Antonio, and Julian's a New Yorker, so of course he's just like, oh, well, that's bad. Anyone up east, anyone up north, for them, that's just like 30 degrees. Come on. Us Texans, Southerners in general, cold weather is not for us. I mean, if any, I would prefer maybe 70 to 80 degree weather. That'd be heaven, but I don't believe in heaven. But it's just a solo show as usual. We have a few things to cover. There's some news going on in wrestling. I guess we'll kind of jump into the big news, which is, I'll save that for when I get to AEW. But I'll talk about the Rumble, and then I'll talk about the wrestling that transpired over the past few days. So the Royal Rumble was on Saturday, because now we're doing Saturday pay-per-views, which I think is actually pretty good. It was on January 29th in St. Louis, Missouri, at the Dome at America's Center. Attendance was 44,390, which was apparently the largest capacity event for that building, which, okay. So let's talk about the first match of the night, which was the match of the night, actually, which was Seth friggin' Rollins, which is now what they're calling him, versus Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. The Usos were barred from ringside. The match begins, or before the match begins, Roman comes out, which I thought was kind of interesting, because usually the challenger will come out first, and then the champion will come out. But Roman comes out, and you start to hear, the Shield theme, that, Sierra, Havana, blah, 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 Shield. And I'm just like, whoa, what the fuck's going on? And then, Seth comes out wearing the Shield garb, the tactical vest, and I'm like, it would have been nice if he came out in, like, the highlighted hair, but, whatever. Comes out, and he has gotten into Roman's head. The storyline between these two is that, Seth knows Roman better than Roman knows himself. And he has gotten inside his head, which nobody has been able to do. And it makes sense because, the Shield were a big thing. Like, they were a big group. I don't think a lot of people really seem to understand how popular and how over the Shield was. All three of those guys wanted to be eventual world champions. Moxley being a champion outside of WWE, in AEW, and GCW. So they're all pretty big deals. They want to be pretty big deals, but Roman being on to be the bigger star. So I like this feud. I like where this feud was going. And this match was really good. It was good storytelling, and it was just a lot of Seth just pissing Roman off, and I loved it. I like this Seth. I have not been a fan of Seth, lately with the whole, Monday Night Messiah or whatever the fuck he's supposed to be, his drip. But he comes out and he's basically the Joker. I mean, I can't really tell which Joker he is because he kind of seems like he's more maybe, I don't know, Jared Leto Joker, which is bad. But he's just coming out, and the whole time he's laughing at Roman. Anytime Roman hits him, he's just laughing, and Roman's just getting pissed off. And I thought it was a really good match because there are there was points in the match where I'm thinking, is Seth really gonna win? Like, holy shit, Seth is gonna win, and then Roman's gonna show up in the Rumble, and then win it, and then get back at Brock to get his title back. Like it didn't happen, but the match ends in DQ. Roman goes for the guillotine, but he won't let go. And the whole time, the ref is screaming, "Let him go!" And Roman's saying, "He won't let me let him go. I can't." And then he beats the shit out of Seth with the steel chair, a la 2014 when Seth turned on the Shield. So good storytelling. I imagine this match is going to continue. Maybe at the next pay-per-view, the Saudi Arabian Elimination Chamber dealie. I wouldn't mind seeing these two work together again. I mean, these two can clearly have good chemistry, as they should. I mean, they were in the biggest faction since D-Generation X, in my opinion. Or fuck it, I'm going to say they were bigger than the Horsemen. They were more popular, more over than the Horsemen. I'm going to be Kevin Castle. How many kids had posters of Ric Flair on the wall? Nope, they had pictures of Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Dean Ambrose, or one or the other. So that's the only thing I will agree with Kevin Castle on it. And you can send your hate mail to Twitter on my Twitter page. So we got the next match, the Women's Royal Rumble. I made a list of all the entrants and how many eliminations they had. I tried to do who was eliminated by who, but that just got too confusing. So Sasha was number one. She came out dressed, what the fuck do you call it? Cosplaying as Sailor Moon, because Sasha's a big anime geek. Then you had Melina, Tamina, Kelly Kelly, Aaliyah, Liv Morgan, Zelina, Bianca Belair, Dana Brooke, Michelle McCool, Sonya Deville, Natalya, Cameron, for whatever reason. Well, it made sense. Naomi, Carmella, Rhea Ripley, Charlotte, Ivory, Brie Bella, Mickie James, coming out to Hardcore Country, her Impact Wrestling music, and with the Impact, Knockouts title. Alicia Fox, Nikki Ash, Summer Rae, Nikki Bella, Sarah Logan, Lita, Mighty Molly, Ronda Rousey making a return, Shotzi, and Shayna Baszler. So, let's see. Charlotte had the most eliminations with 5. Bianca Belair was there the longest. I believe it was over 40 minutes. Shotzi wasn't even really in it that long. She just came and went, which was shocking because I would have thought they would have given Shotzi something. But, they didn't. I mean, as soon as you heard the rumor that Ronda was going to be in it, you kind of knew she was going to win it. And, she got a big pop because Shotzi, not Shotzi, but Ronda is a big star. She draws. She makes money. I kind of wish they did more with her and Shayna. I mean, there was that nice little tease where they were going to square off and, they're best friends, but then that got, disrupted. I thought it was weird that Zelina eliminated Sasha. I mean, I was kind of questioning it. Like, is Sasha hurt? Like, is she still hurt? Like, can she not wrestle for a certain amount of time, or does she have a concussion we don't know about? But yeah, that was weird. That the fact that fucking Sasha got eliminated by Zelina. I mean, that was kind of the second weirdest thing that happened in any of these Rumbles. But let's see. Cameron comes out. Well, first of all, Sonya Deville comes out, but she's wearing her jacket. And, she's telling Pat McAfee, when the jacket's on, I'm the boss. When the jacket's off, I'm competing. So then Cameron comes in. Cameron from the Funkadactyls with Naomi. They're still pretty good friends. And I forget who. I think it was like maybe Vic Grimes. Not Vic Grimes. He's on NXT. Jimmy Smith? Not Jim. The dude on Raw. Whatever his name is. He's telling Sonya they're actually very good friends. They started together. And then Sonya's like, really? Huh. And then she takes off her jacket and goes in there and beats the shit out of Cameron and throws her out of the ring. And then that's when Naomi comes in and then eliminates Sonya. So, good storytelling. Yeah, it was at least good storytelling. Cameron at least added to something, to this never-ending, confusing storyline of Sonya and Naomi. I still have no idea why they don't like each other. It really doesn't make any sense to me. And I watched the show, and it still makes no sense. Bianca Belair entering in at number 8, like she did last year. She lost the longest. Carmella doing the weird thing of acknowledging Corey Graves, and it's just like, we know you two are fucking. We get it. Ivory coming out to the Right to Censor music. Ivory, who's apparently 60. It's just like, how? Like, bitch, where? Like, where? Tell me where you are 60. Point to the doll and tell me where this woman is 60. She looked good. Ivory's always looked really good. I always thought Ivory was a very beautiful woman. I kind of wish it was Stevie Richards that came out in the Men's Royal Rumble with the Right to Censor gimmick. That would have been pretty cool. I was telling Julian this, like, he comes out with the Right to Censor, and then Joe Gacy would have made his appearance in the Rumble, and then they would have had like a moment together of just canceling everybody in the ring, and then Joe Gacy throws them out. If you hear that, one of my cats is growling. One of my many cats. These guys cannot coexist. Unfortunately, this isn't the WWE. They don't coexist. I just got some weird wet message from Sean Kenter. I'll have to write him later about that. But other notes, the Bella Twins came in and they just apparently were, badasses and eliminated Liv Morgan, because why not? I mean, even though I'm not really a huge Liv Morgan fan, I don't think she's terrible in the ring. I just don't think she should ever talk on the mic, personally. And I just thought they were trying to make a big deal out of her. And the Bellas eliminated her, so there's that. Brie Bella ends up eliminating Nikki, a la what happened in the Rumble from, I believe, 2018, the first Women's Royal Rumble. So there's some continuity with that. Sarah Logan came back and had a moment with Liv. I agree with Kevin Castle on this. Liv is way too overly emotional. She had the match with Becky on Raw, and she was getting overly emotional. And it just seems like anything she does, she just starts to cry about it. I don't know. I'm not trying to be a sexist, but it's just like, this woman needs to stop getting overly emotional about everything. But Sarah Logan coming back, looking like an extra from Mad Max Thunderdome, and they got eliminated. I like the moment with Mighty Molly and Nikki Ash, where Nikki Ash just like bum rushes her and just beats the shit out of her and going, I'm the only superhero. So I thought that was pretty nice. Summer Rae literally just darting to enter the Rumble, and then she gets eliminated like really quick because she has some random feud with Natalya. I don't know why. Mickie James, lasted a lot longer than I thought, because when she was entering the Rumble, Michelle McCool booted her, but she didn't get in the ring yet. She was just on the apron. So I'm like, I'm kind of glad they didn't do that. Like, give Mickie some respect. I mean, she's been a good sport about the trash bag gate. So they gave her some good offense. She lasted a little longer than I thought she would. But, Ronda Rousey, she came in, she just started chucking bitches over the ring. She had 4 eliminations. Came down to her and Charlotte, and that didn't even last like a minute. Charlotte charged at her, and Ronda threw her out of the ring. So Charlotte's the new Royal Rumble winner. Or not Charlotte. Ronda Rousey is the Royal Rumble winner of 2022. And more than likely, she's going to choose Charlotte at the Rumble, which that was kind of the rumor. And at first, I was like, no, but I want it to be her and Becky, because that's the match we should have gotten. But now looking at Becky, which we'll segue into Becky. Next match, it's Raw Women's Championship. Becky Lynch versus Doudrop for the Raw Women's Championship. Oh, by the way, the Women's Royal Rumble was 59 minutes and 40 seconds. Seth friggin' Rollins and Roman was 14 minutes and 25 seconds. Women's Royal Rumble was actually the longest match of the night. But Becky Lynch and Doudrop. This match was not very good. It was very oddly placed. Like, I know the whole point of having this match is to maybe cool the audience down, but I would have went with Edge and Becky, or Edge and Miz's match to cool the audience down. Not a championship match. Like, maybe Becky and Doudrop should have opened the match, or should have opened the show, in my opinion, not Roman and Seth. But this match was just not very good. The audience was very tuned out. I was kind of looking forward to it because I wanted to see what Doudrop could do in a big match like this against somebody like, somebody on Becky's level. But it was a lot of Becky carrying the match. And I'll say this, there was at least good storytelling in a sense where the whole point of the match was, Doudrop is too big and Becky can't really overpower her like she could with someone like Liv. She can't cheat to win. She actually has to try and win. And they already had a disqualification. They're not going to do a count out. They're just not. And so Becky had to do a power move off the top rope because she couldn't do her submission because Doudrop was able to counter it and power slam her. And again, Becky had to win by doing a power move off the top rope, which made sense. So that I could at least say that about the match was at least enjoyable. But other than that, I think maybe Doudrop was gassed out. So Becky had to carry the match. But moving on. And then just the whole thing with Becky. I'm not really feeling the whole big time Bex thing. Like, she is clearly borrowing from Seth's closet. It's just, anytime Seth wears something ridiculous, Becky has to wear something even more ridiculous. So, not feeling it. And I really do want to see Charlotte and Ronda. That seems like a better match. You can save Ronda and Becky for SummerSlam when they unify the women's championships. So, you can do that. I don't know. Maybe. Or maybe you can do that at WrestleMania. Maybe you can have Ronda and Charlotte main event one night, and then the next night you have Becky and Ronda wrestle and unite the titles. Fuck it. Do that. Alright. So next match, you have Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship. The shortest match of the night, 10 minutes and 15 seconds. 20 years in the making. And yeah, I mean, alright, Bobby Lashley won, which we'll get to. The match was just not very good. Like, I understand Brock can't really wrestle past 10 minutes in a straight up match. He's not Brock Lesnar from 2002, which is fine, but it's just like, you could have done something in 10 minutes. Like, you could have had two hosses just beat the shit out of each other. Instead, it was just a lot of Brock Lesnar suplexing Bobby Lashley and Lashley barely getting any offense in. Like, there was so much you could have done in under 10 minutes, but they had to get to, the whole basis of the match was, okay, we have to get to Roman, which I thought it was going to be the Usos, but it was Roman, which I'm glad. The referee gets knocked down. Roman not suplexes, but spears Brock and then takes the title from Paul. Paulie has been in cahoots with Roman. He's been planning on screwing over Brock this whole time, which probably should have been saved from Mania, but I get it. And then hits Brock with the title. Bobby pins him, and then Bobby Lashley is the new champion. Which good, because Bobby needed this win, but the match could have been a lot better, in my opinion. I mean, waited 20 years for this, and we got this match, but, what do I know? I don't book the show. Speaking of another match I don't care about, I'm playing. Actually, I don't care about this. I mean, I cared about the Brock match, but it didn't really live up to expectations, but this match really didn't live up to expectations because I had no expectations. Mixed tag team match. Edge and Beth Phoenix versus Miz and Maurice. I mean, Maurice looked damn good in that outfit. I mean, boobs. That's the best thing I can say about this match. I didn't care about any of it. I mean, Maurice had a pretty mean-looking Hurricane Rana on Edge. Other than that, this should have been the main event of Raw. This should not have been on a pay-per-view. I don't get why this was on the pay-per-view. Like, why? You could have found a spot for Beth Phoenix in the Rumble. You easily could have found a spot for Edge in the Rumble. Like, Edge was the winner of last year. Why wouldn't Edge have wanted to defend his title? You know what I mean? Why wouldn't Miz want to be in the Rumble? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. But Edge and Beth won, which I kind of went with Miz and Maurice because it's just like Edge can lose 10 matches in a row and he'll still be fine. He'll still be over. But, you know, whatever. Next you have the Men's Royal Rumble. 30-man Royal Rumble. And I will go by the participants. I counted everything. AJ Styles entered at number 1, Nakamura number 2, Austin Theory, Robert Roode, Ridge Holland, Montez Ford, Damian Priest, Sami Zayn, Johnny Knoxville, Angelo Dawkins, Omos, Ricochet, Chad Gable, Dominic, Corbin, Dolph Ziggler, Sheamus, Rick Boogs, Madcap Moss, Riddle, Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens, Rey Mysterio, Kofi Kingston, Otis, Big E, Bad Bunny, Shane McMahon, Randy Orton, and Brock Lesnar at number 30. This is a weird match. Julian had just said this was a very tag team centric Rumble because you have the Street Profits in the match. You have Alpha Academy. Who else do you have in it? You have Dominic and Ray. You have Madcap Moss and Corbin. Who else do you have in it? Yeah, very tag team. Oh, you know, the Dirty Dogs, Robert Roode and Dolph. Very much a tag team centric match, and it's very low on stars. Like a lot of mid carders in the match, like, with the exception of, you know, Brock and Orton. There wasn't really a lot of surprises. Like no NXT call ups. You didn't have Braun Breaker appear. You didn't have Tommaso Ciampa make an appearance. I mean, hell, LA Knight would have been nice to see. LA Knight, maybe some surprise appearances. I mean, there was no chance in hell you're going to have AEW stars appear that are on a show that WWE is competing with. I mean, maybe some Impact stars because they're doing a deal with Impact. Maybe Moose. Maybe Nick Aldis makes an appearance. I know Nick Aldis is with the NWA, but Nick Aldis is married to Mickey. I mean, so that would have been nice. But maybe Nick Aldis didn't want to do it. I don't know. But a lot of mid-carders in this Rumble. I mean, my pick was AJ, but I knew he was going to win. Especially entering at number 1. Comes out, you know, doing the Shawn Michaels pose. And he looked pretty good for a bit. And then he gets eliminated by fucking Madcap Moss. For whatever reason. To which I had the loudest groan. I'm like, ugh. I mean, I knew he wasn't going to win. But you could have told a story. Like, you could have had him last until everybody else was out of the ring. It could have been him and Brock as being the last stars in the Rumble. Like, do you remember the 2007 Rumble in San Antonio when it was just Taker and Shawn? Like, that place went fucking nuts because Shawn is the hometown guy, and everybody was rooting for Shawn. I wasn't even there. I was watching it. I was watching it in the den of, you know, my old house, and I was just going nuts. I'm like, shit, come on, Shawn. And, you know, Taker eliminates Shawn. The whole place goes quiet because they're crying because Shawn lost. And there's that moment of Shawn and Taker just gazing at each other and just the nod of respect. You could have done that. Like, you could have done that with AJ and Brock. You know, AJ just busted his ass. Like, he's been in the Rumble for over 50 minutes. And now it's down to him and an angry Brock Lesnar, a fresh Brock Lesnar. And AJ does everything he could to fight Brock, and he's giving it everything, every last bit of energy he has. But to no avail. Brock is just too big, and he's also the fresh guy. And he throws AJ out, and you could have had that moment of Taker and Shawn, where Brock just stares at AJ and AJ stares back at Brock, and they just kind of nod at each other for respect. You could have done something like that at least, but they decided, I guess to tell a story with Drew and Brock because they had their match at Mania. Because you mentioned you notice how I didn't mention Drew as a main event guy, along with Orton and Brock. And I like Drew, but Drew is kind of a mid-carder at this point. That's just my opinion. But everything else in the match, again, there wasn't anything memorable. I mean, Johnny Knoxville came out and took everyone's finish and got eliminated by Sammy. There was a moment with Robert Roode and AJ where, everybody starts chanting TNA, TNA, TNA. Trying to think of what else. Oh yeah, Kofi. So Kofi does his annual floor is lava bit at the Rumble, which I agree with Julian. Me and Julian both agreed on this. We're kind of getting sick of that whole shtick. So So Kevin Owens knocks him off the apron. He's gonna fall off. I guess what was gonna happen is that he was gonna fall off and catch himself on the guardrail, but have his feet, I guess, kind of be above the floor to make it look like he was able to catch himself. That is the opposite of what happened. So when Kofi fell off, I immediately saw both of his feet touch the fucking ground, and the camera ended up cutting to Kofi's face, staring at the fans. And even like Pat McAfee's like, his feet touched the ground. And I'm pretty sure Vince McMahon or Bruce Pritchard, got on, the headset and was like, no, his feet touched the ground, he's gone. So that was that. I guess that's the only highlight you can maybe muster. Bad Bunny is back. He had 2 eliminations. Why? Because he's Bad Bunny. And I don't even hate Bad Bunny. I thought Bad Bunny had one of the best matches at Mania last year. But I don't know if he should be eliminating stars, in my opinion. Like, if he eliminated, Rick Boogs, that would have made more sense, because Rick Boogs is a comedy guy. But for him to eliminate Sheamus, and I like Sheamus, and Sheamus I think has had the best wrestling of his entire career actually in the past year, and then to throw out Dolph, and I know Dolph, his whole thing is, Dolph is kind of going through the motions, and he's just there to get paid. I don't know if Bad Bunny should be eliminating wrestlers, in my opinion. And then it took Brock Lesnar to throw up Bad Bunny. It's Brock Lesnar, I know, but it's just, come on. Of all whatever, we'll get off that. And then Shane McMahon is the quote-unquote surprise. Comes in and it's already gassed out in 2 minutes, and then eliminates Kevin Owens. I hope Kevin Owens is happy. I hope he's able to. I hope he has a nice house with all that money he's making with that big contract he signed. That's my only solace I can find in Kevin Owens, is that he at least is happy with the money he's making. And Shane McMahon we'll talk about in a bit. Fuck it, we'll just talk about it right now. So let me just kind of talk about Shane McMahon for a bit, and we'll get back to the match. So Shane McMahon is gone from WWE. This was reported on Wednesday, I believe. And there's been multiple stories about what has happened. The talk is that he inserted himself as a big player in the Rumble, and that he wanted to be one of the Final Four participants, and pushed creative to give him a bigger spot in the Rumble. And that's why he got fired. So I'm gonna wait until there's an actual story coming out. I'm gonna wait until I hear Shane talk about what happened. And to be honest, I don't even think we'll ever know what happened, because we don't even know why he left in the first place in 2009. So I want to hear from the horse's mouth why Shane actually left. And I'm not going to sit here and, theorize and then give my own possible notion on why he left. I want to hear Shane talk about why he actually left. That's all I'm going to say. Going back to the match, Brock comes in and he wins. And it's funny because we were watching on my Xbox One in the living room, and my Xbox One will turn off after it's not being used for a certain amount of time. So as soon as Brock came out, and I forgot who he eliminated first, I think it was Shane, it turned off. And it was off for like maybe 30 or 40 seconds, and we turned it back on, and it was just down to him and Drew. So my Xbox was like, yeah, you don't need to see this. Like, you already know what's going to happen. You don't need to see it. Don't torture yourself. So Brock is the Royal Rumble winner. Hasn't won it since 2003. It's fucking 18 years ago. Jesus. I was in 8th grade when that happened. And then, the very next night on Raw, Bobby Lashley comes out as the champion. Brock comes out and just says, hey, I'm not even mad at you. You won. Good for you. Like, I'm going to face Roman Reigns, but I'm going to face him as the WWE champion. So he got added to the Elimination Chamber match, which is going to happen in Saudi Arabia. Bobby Lashley's first title match, which is kind of odd, but it's going to be Bobby Lashley, Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins, Austin Theory, AJ Styles, and I believe it's Seth Rollins. Is it Seth Rollins? Let me try to repeat it again. So, wait, I have it right here. I can just pull up the pay-per-view right here. Elimination Chamber. All right, Brock Lesnar, Bobby Lashley, Seth Rollins, Matt Riddle, Austin Theory, and AJ Styles. Interesting cast. We get to see a Riddle and Brock standoff, which probably won't last long, but I'm interested. I mean, that is a pretty interesting group of wrestlers in the ring. That has the makings to be a really good Elimination Chamber match. I mean, because I remember last year's... what the fuck? Hold on. I remember last year's Elimination Chamber was actually very good. I really enjoyed it. This could possibly be even better than last year with the core group that's in that talent. I can only imagine that Brock is going to be the last guy that comes out of his pod. Kind of like, Goldberg in the Elimination Chamber from 2003, when he was the last person to come out and he just starts wrecking everybody in the ring. Like, it can be like that. Everybody else is having their own little match, and then as soon as Brock comes out, that's when everybody huddles up and goes, okay, we need to fight against this guy because he's the biggest threat. And then Brock comes out and just beats the fuck out of everybody in the ring, and it's down to him and Bobby. So, I'm not a fan of these transitional title reigns because I don't like the thought of, Brock lost the title to Bobby so Roman can fuck with Roman, or Roman can fuck with Brock, and then Brock can get the title back eventually, because if we're being real, if Bobby wins, who's his WrestleMania opponent going to be? I mean, could it be Big E? I mean, I doubt it, because Big E's already on SmackDown. He's already back on SmackDown. And he's demoted. Big E is demoted. So, I mean, the obvious thing you can do is just maybe have... I don't know what they can do. It kind of seems like they're going to give it back to Brock so they can have Brock and Roman at the Rumble. Or WrestleMania, I'm sorry. To unify both belts, which I'm fine with. I've been saying they should do that for the longest time. But I don't know, because I like Bobby Lashley as the champion. So I don't know what they're gonna do. Some cat meowing at my door. I don't even know what the fuck it is. Oh, it's my cat Ben. So let's look at the ratings from Monday Night Raw, January 31st. 1.865, which is a big improvement over their last few shows, actually. Last week they got a 1.766. And lately they've had 1.7s, 1.6s, 1.5s. Well, ever since Brock came back, the ratings, went up a little bit. Now that they have Ronda Rousey back, the ratings are, way up. The ratings look a lot better. So, good for that. Good for, WWE. So, let's see. Let's go to NXT for a bit. I missed the first half of the show because we were out. We just came home. So I missed Imperium versus Diamond Mine, and I heard it was actually pretty good. Can't really comment on it too much. Kaylee Ray torments Mandy Rose into a match. This was kind of the story for the majority of the night, which is Kaylee Ray stalking Mandy Rose because she wants a championship match. Not at, the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. She wants, Mandy Rose like ASAP. So she stalks her, and then she ends up kidnapping the rest of Toxic Attraction, and then stalks her throughout the rest of the night, and pours spaghetti on her and cake, and then ends up getting a match for next week. So we're getting Mandy Rose versus Kaylee Ray. This is the match I did watch whenever I came home. Raquel Gonzalez versus Cora Jade. The whole point of the match is Cora wants Raquel to be her tag team partner in the Dusty Rhodes Women's Classic, which the news coming out that there's not enough women. There's not enough wrestlers, to even have a tournament, because they release so many fucking people. Which they probably shouldn't even have a fucking tournament to begin with, but, that's just me. The match was fine. Oh, what the fuck? I'm trying to get comfortable. The match was fine. There's a nice bit in the match where Cora goes for a move on the top rope, and Raquel catches her, but Cora counters it into a Black Widow a la AJ Lee, which I thought was pretty cool. And it was a good match. Raquel ends up winning, and then after the match, Raquel, shakes her hand and goes, "Let's go win this thing." So, the whole point of the match was that Cora got her respect. So, now they're a tag team. Yay. Let's see. Saray versus Kayla Inley. Saray's... I'm trying to describe her gimmick. So, her whole gimmick is that she has this pendant. This pendant that is from her grandmother. And it gives her some kind of superpower, I guess, whenever she walks to the ring. Whenever she walks to the ring, she becomes Saray. She becomes this great wrestler, quote unquote. And whenever she's not in the ring, she goes back to being Japanese schoolgirl Saray. Alright. That's the best way I can describe this gimmick. So, moving on. There are grown adults that come up with these gimmicks. Let's see, Cameron Grimes gets under Carmelo Hayes' skin. They're going to have a match at was it St. Valentine's Day Massacre? I feel like I'm giving it the wrong name. Like, someone can correct me on this. There was a funny bit with Malik Blade and I forget what the other guy's name is, where they're trying to come up with names for their team, and they're like, we're bold, we're brave, we're creative. Let's call ourselves Team BB, and then Malik cuts them off. Hey, we can't do that. Like, and I put on Twitter, you think if they called themselves BBC, that Vince McMahon would even get the reference? It's like, are they talking about the channel? Yeah, call them BBC. Yeah, trying to deal with BBC. And then, Malik Blade is like, has a huge crush on Mandy Rose. And then he closes his eyes and pretending he's talking to her, Mandy Rose. That's when she runs in because she's running from Kayla Ray. And she falls into his arms. And he's like, bro, I need some time to get up. Like, wait, what do you mean? I need some time to stand up. It's like, oh, I get it. A lot of fucking going on in NXT. A lot of horny people in NXT. I mean, because you look at, was it Briggs and Jackson. Again, I'm probably butchering the name. I'm sorry. They want those two other chicks. I'm forgetting their name. Mandy Rose, who just comes out oozing sex appeal. And then you have this. You have boner jokes. I mean, at least they're honest. At least, because the whole thing about WWE in the past, according to Joey Numbers, was that woman over here and man stand over her. Like, you couldn't acknowledge that, these in shape young athletes are not attracted to each other, even though most of them are fucking each other. So it makes sense. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with boner jokes, because you're telling me Mandy Rose won't give you a boner? Like, come on. Like, how many boners does she not give? Next you have LA Knight versus Joe Gacy. Gacy wins after interference from Grayson Waller and that really big guy, whose name I'm fucking forgetting. I don't even think they mentioned his name. Like, is that Veer 2.0? What the fuck? There's a fucking fly randomly on my phone. Go away. Go away. Fuck off. Are you fucking kidding me, dude? Go away. And I just clicked off. What the fuck? Okay. Let's see. I like LA Knight. I mean, he can cut a good promo. He looks like something Vince would like. And so I'm surprised he's not on the main roster already. That's just my opinion. I'm kind of annoyed at the fact that he has to put over Grayson Waller. Like, again, I'm not really a Grayson Waller fan. I don't get it. Like, the guy has an interesting look, but the fact that he comes out dressed as a boxer and he's like doing the whole duck and move thing, that annoys the shit out of me. Honestly, when he does that annoys me. Like, I really want to see him get punched in the face. Not because he's a heel, but because he genuinely annoys me. I can't tell what he wants to be. And so, yeah, Knight's going to face, what's his name next year? Sanga. There you go. Sanga. Next we have Wendy Chu versus Amari Miller. Wendy Chu winning. I like Wendy Chu. I like this gimmick. I think it's more entertaining than Orange Cassidy. And I don't care what I will fight anyone on this. This gimmick is more over and I won't say more better because it sounds weird, but better than Orange Cassidy. If you think Orange Cassidy is a great gimmick and you think this gimmick is stupid, you can go fuck yourself. Plain and simple. This gimmick is self-aware, at least. Orange Cassidy, they like to treat him like he's a badass, which he's not. Like, Wendy Chu, I think could beat the shit out of Orange Cassidy. I've heard stories about how she's a badass, how she's pretty legit. She looks like she's having fun with the gimmick. Like, the whole gimmick is that she just falls asleep. And it's not that she has narcolepsy, she just falls asleep anywhere she wants to fall asleep. It can be during a match, it can be during a segment, it could be in the arena, it can be in the where the fans are at. She just falls asleep. Oh, and she's in a feud with Tiffany Stratton because Tiffany Stratton, thinks she's a weirdo and paid Amari Miller money and said, "I will take you shopping and buy you anything you want if you beat Wendy Chu." And she doesn't, and Wendy Chu ends up taking her card, Daddy's card. So I like the gimmick. What can I say? I think it's funny. I like it. Andre Chase with Bodie Hayward versus Draco Anthony. Was that? I'm trying to think of who Draco Anthony was, because they showed a vignette of him, saying that he was in the Marines and that, blah blah blah. Was he also the guy in that vignette during a takeover where he's just sitting at a bar, or not even a bar, but he was sitting in a diner? Like, was that him? Hold on, let me see if that's him. Okay, shit, that was him. I thought it was kind of weird how they hyped him up before the match, and then you come back from commercial and he doesn't even get an entrance. And granted, because Andre Chase is a little bit higher on the food chain on NXT 2.0. But, whatever. I don't think Andre Chase should be winning matches because he's a gimmick. And yeah, everyone in NXT is a gimmick, but he's more of in the same line as Santino. He shouldn't be winning matches. He's already over with his gimmick. And I thought it was kind of weird how Draco is stepping on the Chase U flag, which he's supposed to be a Marine, and you don't step on anyone's flag. I just thought it was kind of fucked up, but whatever. Chase gets the match and he challenges Von Wagner next week. So there we go. Main event time. You have Braun Breaker and Tommaso Ciampa versus Legado del Fantasma, Raul Mendoza and Joaquin Wilde. Nothing special. I mean, pretty good match. Ciampa and Breaker seem to have good chemistry. They look like they genuinely get along. I wouldn't be surprised if they're besties outside of the ring. And it looks like we're getting a rematch between these two, or maybe even a triple threat at the Valentine's Day pay-per-view, or not pay-per-view, but NXT event. So yeah, and the match happened. It came and it went, but it was fine. But yeah, NXT was enjoyable. It was good. It was fun. I enjoy NXT. I thoroughly enjoy NXT. I know a lot of people are complaining. I know the Jim Cornettes are like, this is why nobody watches your show. It's like, bro, there's a lot more show to that than the fucking Wendy Chu thing, and I enjoyed the Wendy Chu thing. I think it's a very consistent wrestling show. It's a lot more consistent than AEW, and we'll get to AEW. At least what AEW is doing is making sense. Not AEW, NXT. Looks like the ratings, NXT from February 1st got 619,000, which is up from the past 2 weeks. So, good for them. Good on NXT. Now, unfortunately, we're going to have to get to AEW. Oh, and the ratings came out. Perfect. Perfect timing. So, originally, Jon Moxley was supposed to face Brian Kendrick. Brian Kendrick had originally asked for his release sometime last week and was granted his release. Unlike Mustafa Ali, but, that's another story. And so he was granted his release, and he was booked for AEW Dynamite, real quick, against Jon Moxley, which I was actually kind of looking forward to because I like Brian Kendrick. I wanted to see what he can do against someone like Moxley, who just came back. He looks a lot more leaner and a lot more in shape, better. The day of, he gets pulled from, Dynamite because the internet doing what the internet always does. Let's rehash old tweets. Let's rehash, clips of people saying A, B, C, and D. And I honestly had no knowledge of this. He did, I think it was a High Spots interview where he was basically doing his best impression of Alex Jones. He was talking about 9/11. He was talking about Sandy Hook, talking about, the Holocaust, where he said that the Holocaust never happened. His words. Not too long after that, he was on Jillian, what the fuck's her name? Why am I forgetting her name? Jillian... Not Jillian Hall, that was the wrestler. Hold on, I need to look this up because it's going to kill me. Lillian Garcia, there you go. Sorry. On Lillian Garcia's podcast, where, that was brought up, and he owned up to it. He apologized. He said, listen, I said stupid things. And, WWE was aware of it, and They still hired me. But I agree with Tony Khan pulling him from the match because it would have created a big distraction, because the whole point of this match was, hey, it's Brian Kendrick. He's on AEW. He's going to wrestle Jon Moxley, who's one of our biggest stars. And the people love Brian Kendrick. The people love Jon Moxley. This could be a really good match. And it would have created a huge distraction. You would have had people booing Brian Kendrick out of the arena. And I've been very anti-cancel culture. Like, I don't think people should lose a gig over stupid comments. They should almost immediately get in front of those comments and go, you know what, I was young, I was in a different place in my life, I wasn't well, I didn't mean what I said. If I could take back everything, I would. To which, in his case, he did. But regardless of I don't know, like, for you to suggest that the Holocaust didn't happen, like, kind of, at the same time, I can't really have too much sympathy for Brian Kendrick. I don't know. It was a massive genocidal event where over 1 million people lost their lives. And I don't want to get too political on the show. I really won't. But for Brian Kendrick to say that, it's just like, yeah, dude, can't really defend that. Can't defend that at all. But in Brian Kendrick's place is Wheeler Yuta to face Jon Moxley. I thought it was an okay match. I think Wheeler Yuta has some potential. He just needs to get away from the best friends. For some reason, Danhausen is with the best friends, and I'm not even really a Danhausen fan. I mean, I know everyone thinks his gimmick is amazing and trend-setting. I'm personally not a fan, but that's just me. Moxley looking great out there. I mean, he lost a lot of weight. He looks like he maybe bulked up a little bit, but he lost a lot of weight. He looks younger, so good for him. I'm glad he's better. I've given Moxley a lot of shit, and a lot of it being fair, but he looks better. I'm glad he's better. I hope he improves. I hope we get to see a better Moxley. That's just me. Bryan Danielson comes in and proposes, him and Moxley form their own alliance and pick from, a lot of AEW's young, promising talent like Daniel Garcia, for example, and says, I know it's a lot to think about, so I'll give you time to think about. And more than likely, Moxley's going to say no, and then that will end up getting Danielson and Moxley. So, looking forward to that. Let's see. Death Triangle versus Knights of the Black Thorn. That's a really stupid name. I was kind of half paying attention to this match. Like, I don't really care about Malachi Black anymore. Like, I liked him as Aleister Black. They bring him into AEW, they try to make him a big deal, and then he loses to Cody, and ever since then, it's just like he hasn't really done anything that really makes me want to care about him. Like, there's really nothing scary about him. You know what I mean? Like, when he does the whole Spooky Man, vignettes, I don't really care. Because I'm like, this seems like something I would see on Shudder. But at least Shudder would be better. Like, Shudder would actually be terrifying. This is like the worst thing you would find on Shudder. Probably. I missed the Brandy Rhodes and Dan Lambert thing. Paige Van Zandt came out to beat the shit out of Brandy Rhodes. Isaiah Cassidy wants a match against Sammy Guevara for the TNT Championship on Friday. Ruby Soho versus Nyla Rose. Lars, whatever the fuck his name was, the leader of Rancid, was in the front row. And, of course, Rose gets the pin. So, Ruby Soho leaves WWE because she wasn't treated fairly and she was always losing She gets to AEW and she's treated even worse and she still loses. But she has competitive matches. Come on. Come the fuck on. Like, tell me what the difference is between Ruby Soho and Ruby Riott. Tell me what the fucking difference is. Other than the fact that she has a new song. And that's another thing that's fucked up. They give her licensed theme music. And they just continue to have this girl lose. It's just unbelievable. Hangman... What the fuck's his name? Hangman Page ends up speaking. Talks about the Texas Death Match. Dan Lambert and Jake the Snake talk a little bit of shit. Let's see. Lance Archer comes out and chokeslams Page for their Texas Death Match next week. I'll be honest, I forgot Page was even the champion. Like, that's how... Like, and it's weird because it sounds very meta in his promos because he's like, you know, I haven't defended my title in almost a month. Like, I want to be like Kenny and have these weekly title defenses or just matches in general. It's like, he hasn't really done anything as champion. And I can't blame that on him because I'm pretty sure he wants to wrestle every week, but the company has done a piss poor job at marketing this guy. Like, when Kenny was the champion, you knew he was the champion because he came out every single week. You know, when Moxley was the champion, you knew he was the champion. When Jericho was the champion, you knew he was the champion. Like, Adam Page, you have to remember that he's the champion. You have to go on fucking, like, Wikipedia to look up current AEW champions. Like, oh yeah, Adam Page is the champion. It's like all that fanfare for Adam Page to be the guy, and you know, this happens. So, and again, it's not on Adam Page. I think it's on the company. They have not done a good job at booking him. And WWE unfairly books people. It's like, suck my balls, please, on that one. Chris Jericho and his hair plugs call a team meeting for everybody in the inner circle, and it's mandatory. So hopefully that's the end of the inner circle as we know it. Main event time. We have MJF and CM Punk in the long-awaited match, first time ever in Chicago, Punk's hometown. I was really surprised on how long they let this match go. Because over here, you know, in Central Time, it was already 8:15 when MJF's music hit. I'm thinking, is this going to be the main event, like to actually close the show, or is there going to be another segment after this? Because MJF is not known for having longer matches, and Punk, you know, again, calling a spade, he's old. He should not be having long matches. You know, I assume this is going to be maybe like a 20-minute match. 25 tops. But no, MJF comes out, and then CM Punk comes out, and, you know, again, the match delivered. It did what it was supposed to do. It told a good story. In the beginning, MJF takes some tape and wraps it around Punk's throat to do a sleeper. He initially wins, but the referee catches the tape, which in reality, how would the ref know that MJF actually used the tape? I mean, let's just be real. In wrestling, can't you just see the replay after the match to see what actually happened? Like, that if somebody interfered? Because the whole thing is, oh, the ref can't see. The ref didn't see it happen. It's like, no, the ref can easily just pull up fucking replay. It's like in sports. If somebody's out of bounds, if somebody commits a foul, if somebody does anything, if you're an inch short before first down, you can just look at the replay. Like in the NFL, if somebody ends up stabbing somebody, you can't pretend it didn't happen because you didn't see it. It's like, no, we're gonna pull up the replay. But it's wrestling, so we kind of give it a pass. But the referee decides to restart the match, and Punk has a little bit more energy. Punk looked very gassed in this match. I don't know if it was just me. Like, a lot of his stuff he was hitting, it looked like it was hurting him more. You know, because he did a Pepsi plunge, which he hasn't done one in 17 years. And that looked like it hurt him a lot. He did a pretty nice reverse Hurricane Rana. Am I saying right, Hurricane Rana or Frankensteiner? Hurricane Rana, there you go. On MJF. And I think MJF was really selling it because the whole time he's grabbing his neck and screaming. So he was really selling that. I hope he was alright. But and then Wardlow comes out and then gets in Punk's face, and the camera is just, it's focused on Punk and Wardlow. So you don't see that Wardlow is actually, you know, subtly slipping the diamond ring to MJF for him to use, which I thought was pretty good. I thought that was pretty clever. MJF ends up hitting Punk in the face with the diamond ring and pins him. And then, you know, the whole time Wardlow's kind of conflicted. He's like, you know, fuck this guy, but, you know, this guy owns my contract. This guy's paying me. And I'm able to keep my family off the streets. Like, I can afford a better living for my family. So the right guy won. I'm glad Punk won. Not Punk, MJF. MJF gets the win in Punk's hometown. You know, he's the slimy heel, so what better way to get him better heel heat? So the right guy won. It was a good match. It delivered. It was maybe a little bit too long for my taste, but I enjoyed it. I liked it. I have not been the biggest CM Punk fan in AEW. I'm not a big fan of his overly competitive matches with job guys. You know, he should be an attraction. He should have competitive matches against top guys, and he should just be used sparingly. You know, if you're going to bring him on AEW to have him wrestle, at least put him in a tag match, or just have him do promos. Like Jim Cornette said, just let people be happy that you're there, and then at the pay-per-views, have him have these big matches. But that's what CM Punk wants to do, I guess. But, you know, whatever. The ratings came out. There was a dip in the ratings. The February 2nd episode of AEW drew 954,000, which is a I don't even want to say it's a collapse, but it's a decrease from last week, which was 1.1 million, and then the week before, which was 1.0 million. So not a very good show, other than the main event, and that's it. Let's see. Impact's ratings have been pretty well since the announcement of Mickie James being in the Royal Rumble. Last week they drew 182,000, which is their largest rating since. Let me try and pull it up real quick. The best rated show they've had since February 16th of 2021. And that show they drew 197,000. So, good for Impact. I mean, we need a stronger third brand. Actually, you know what? I lied. That's not their the highest rated show they've had in a while. Let me go back. December 8th, 2020, 221,000. So, you know, wrestling, it's good that we're having competition and not just WWE and AEW. Like, a lot of these people that get released, you know, they need somewhere else to go other than AEW. Because AEW is stacked. They're stacked with talent, and they don't even have room for most of the guys they already have there. I mean, they already have the Rampage and the YouTube shows, which suck. But it's just like, why not go to Impact and try and see if you can help that brand? I mean, why not Bray Wyatt go to Impact? Why not Braun Strowman go to Impact? I mean, the question of Killer Cross going to Impact is already, it's out of the question because we already know the story there. But it's good to hear that Impact is doing well because we need other companies to do better. MLW tried and that failed. Ring of Honor tried and it failed. Impact, for whatever, has been around for 20 years. And maybe we can see revitalized Impact Wrestling. Maybe we can see a brand new company just come out of the woodwork. So we need more than just two companies up top. We need more competition. We need more places for guys to go. What else can we talk about? As far as wrestling goes, that's it. I pretty much covered everything wrestling related. But that's the show for this week. I will see you guys next week. And you guys know where to find me. Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Patreon. Support the Patreon, just $5 a month. Let's see. Shout outs to everybody. Wrestling Soup. They're about to do a show in a bit. Kevin Castle, he's going to have a show tonight. Trez. Baseball Chickie, her and Kevin Castle do a show. They just put out a new episode this week. Wrestling Court. I just did a show with Julian. Just me and Julian. No Rob. Rob was not here. Rob is nowhere to be found. He is currently covering the Great War. I'm playing. It was just me and Julian. It was a lot of fun. So look for that episode to drop. False Count Radio. Let's see. Breaking the Apocalypse. JD with WrestleBread. Clark Street Wrestling Podcast. They just had their 3-year anniversary. I was in the chat room last night. It was really fun. There's some good dudes. Support their show. They're really good. Let's see. Who else? Jeff Lippman with the million shows that he has. Hammerlock Hangover with Steve. And Garden of Doom. He's also a part of the Patreon. Ruben Prime, the good friend. We also do a show on the Patreon. Little RJ, the Brooklyn Savage, good friend of mine. We do a show on the Patreon. Brother Monty. I'm trying to think of who else. I'm trying to think of somebody else. If I'm forgetting anyone, I'm sorry, but shout out to everybody. Shout out to everybody who supports the show. And I will see you guys next week. Peace out.